Welcome to Ghouls Night Out with your hostesses, Brandy and Jody.
Hello, beautiful ghouls. Welcome. This is Brandy. I'm here with my sister, Jody.
Hello.
So I have some embarrassing things that people have done at work that still haunts them to this day.
Oh, no.
First one, I drove a semi-truck full of mail from Providence to Boston with the trailer door open.
Oh, God. I wonder if they were just like flying out the door.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. The whole way?
Oh.
Holy shit. I was giving a presentation to 300 plus people and rested my arm on top of the podium in a spot where there was a button that turned off the entire system. It took about 10 minutes to reboot and get my presentation back up. 2 minutes into talking again, I did it again.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh my gosh, don't put your elbows down.
Why would they have a button there?
Well, I don't know.
Why wouldn't they put it like underneath or
On
something
the side.
where you can't accidentally hit it?
To reboot the entire
Yeah.
system? Yeah, that's a good point. I was 16 pushing grocery carts outside a grocery store. Lot attendant was my title, and my job was to make sure chaos didn't break out in the parking lot. Great job for a 16-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
But I also had some other duties, like taking out the trash, emptying ashtrays, and doing the other few little odd jobs around the store. One day, a woman taps me on the shoulder in the store and says, "I'm sorry, but my kid just threw up all over that display," and points at the display of Edmund's snack cakes that were freestanding in between some aisles, and I can see that this toddler has clearly projectile vomited all over it. There was some on most of the boxes. I think to myself, I'll handle this. So I scooped up all the boxes, took them to the dumpster, and threw them all away. As I was dusting my hands off and congratulating myself on being so helpful, a manager asked, "What did you just do?" And I said, "I cleaned up a big mess. A kid threw up on everything." He said, "Yeah, but you can't just throw the whole display thing away. There's a process, inventory. We have to report these losses." I told him...
Sorry.
It's okay. I told him I was pushing carts, man. I don't know anything about that. He let out a long sigh and said, "This isn't going to be fun for either of us." He then lowered me by the ankles back into the dumpster and had me fish out all the snack cake boxes covered in child vomit and then learn how to scan them through some computer thing. In case you were wondering, I haven't eaten those snack cakes since.
That's gross.
That is horrible. If someone tried to lower me by my ankles into a dumpster, I would leave, I think.
Nobody would be able to lower me into a dumpster.
Well, if at 16, if you were a scrawny kid.
Well, yeah, but
Oh my God, that's
I've never
horrible.
been scrawny.
Yeah, nobody would. Who would do that?
I don't know.
What's wrong with people? I was working for an investment manager. He gave me an order to sell 80,000 of Microsoft to a client account. I wasn't thinking and entered a sale of 80,000 shares, MSFT. What is that?
I don't know.
MSFT was selling at 100 plus per share at the time.
Microsoft?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Micro?
That's
Wow.
probably, yeah, that's probably right. That's right. I was crapping bricks as I got to the brokerage firm's trading desk on the phone and waited on hold to hear if they could bust the trade. They did. Phew. I cut grass on a zero-turn mower for like an hour before I realized I forgot to turn the blades on.
That sucks.
I needed to cut a 2-inch rubber hose. There wasn't a table nearby, so I put the hose on my knee and pushed the box cutter through the hose directly into my knee. Sometimes the brain just doesn't work.
Apparently.
I'm an assistant. During my second week on the job, I took my boss's $2,000 personal computer to get repaired. When I was bringing it back to his house, I dropped it and cracked the screen. Thank God it was a small crack, and my boss is the most chill person on the planet. I genuinely thought I was going to get fired, but instead he just happily started using it again and said it was no big deal since it still worked.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's good guy.
Yeah.
I accidentally deleted the entire project directory for my company.
Oh, my gosh.
Thinking I was deleting a folder called proposals. We lost about 2/3 of the directory before I was able to cancel the deletion. The data was gone as the folder was too big to fit into the trash can, so it permanently deleted the files as it went along. Oh my gosh. I forgot to turn the sign to open. My coworker found out after he came out, asked why the place was empty, and watched 5 people come to the door, stop, turn, and walk away. I was hungover and stood at the counter like a zombie for about an hour and a half, having watched many people walk up and then walk away.
Oh, my God.
After that, my coworkers greeted me until I resigned with, "Are we open?" I put an adrenaline needle through my thumb. I was basically messing around with returned stock at a pharmacy while destroying old medication. Our old-fashioned pharmacist/owner would always prime the adrenaline injectors and stab them into the wall to get rid of the liquid before disposing of them. I stupidly tried to do this myself one day, but I squeezed the wrong end as I tried to prime it and ended up going right through my thumb and out the other side, popping through my nail.
Oh, my gosh.
I felt like such an idiot. The needle wasn't actually used. It was just out of date that a patient had returned. I think still about what could have happened quite often. That was nearly 15 years ago. Oh, that would be bad.
Yeah.
Not me, but someone in another department was unmuted while taking a massive dump and loudly talking on a personal call on her cell phone.
Oh, my gosh.
All 265 people on the call could hear her answer the phone and start talking about whatever while hearing the distinct sound of pee followed by farts and plops. The CEO and the group directors, all calmly at first, told her to please mute before the panic started to set in. She thought she was muted the entire time. She couldn't hear people yelling at her because her volume was set at low.
Oh my gosh, that would be horrifying.
So that she could have her own call. Almost 5 minutes into the call, we heard the toilet paper rolling in the dispenser. She went dead quiet and left the meeting a second later. This was also not a work-from-home position either.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. You'd have to exit that bathroom and, like, face people. Holy shit. Many years ago, while in my early days of military life, I was in charge of ordering supplies for my division. I was trying to order D batteries for mag lights. I wanted to order about 38 cases, which were 380 batteries. I misread how they came. I thought it was by individual battery. Oh no. So I ordered 380 batteries. This was the first mistake. For the second mistake, I actually fat-fingered it and ordered 3,800. To compound the error, the unit of issue was by case. I ended up with 3,800 cases of batteries while at sea on an aircraft carrier. It sucks so bad. Oh, no, that's awful.
This makes my mistakes at work much better.
I was filling a paint drum and left to use the bathroom, then proceeded to go on break. Midway through my snack, I realized and ran all the way back, paint everywhere. Mm. I work in payroll. Oh, no. So having 5,000 to 10,000 mistakes isn't uncommon. I was testing out a new warning/deduction code on a new account and had entered 5,000 as a test check and forgot to delete it before processing it to a terminated employee.
Oh, no.
Promptly emptied his bank account so he couldn't pull it back out.
Oh, that's nuts.
My gosh. Could you imagine being that dude, though? One day.
Right on.
I left a long time ago. real.
I'm sure they had to give it back.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you would think so, but I mean, what would be the... Why?
Because it's not there.
I understand, but they didn't do anything wrong.
No, but they knew they didn't earn that money.
Obviously, it would be the wrong thing to do, but if you were a piece of shit person, you probably could get away with taking that.
I don't think you could. I think they would probably... Well, if they didn't give it back on their own, they could press charges.
But what? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What would be the argument? Because
he knew, because the person knew that money was not theirs.
I understand that, but okay, we're talking about a piece of shit person. Okay, this dude's a piece of shit. Piece of shit. He doesn't care about anybody, and he finds $5,000 in his account, and he immediately takes it out, which is what they said. Mm-hmm. If he was a piece of shit, he probably could get away with keeping that, is what I'm saying. Like, if he wanted to fight, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I don't think he would get away with it.
I don't know. This is totally not real life. Next one. I was on vacation and my boss told me to push a script. What? Told me to push a script another employee wrote before he quit.
I think that's computer talk.
Oh, okay. I was at Disneyland and didn't bother looking at it and just pushed it. That's funny. I'm a Disneylander. Here you go. Needless to say, the former employee locked all of our computers, 25,000 of them, then tried to pin it on me. But in the end, the boss got in trouble for forcing me to work while I was on vacation and without any time to prepare.
Don't be calling people at Disneyland and out telling them to work.
Seriously.
That's not how vacations are supposed to be.
Why did they answer the phone in the first place?
Exactly.
As a new manager trainee, I had to sit through Death by 90s OSHA videos. It was all stuff I had seen before and was incredibly bored of it. At the end of the video, there was a random guy in our office I assumed was a customer, and I sarcastically said, well, that was an hour I'll never get back. He goes, did you not enjoy it? I said, yeah, didn't at all. But, I get it. Safety comes first, so it's necessary. But the videos are so common sense, it hurts. Anyway, can I help you real quick? I have a big meeting to get to, and the big guy from corporate merchandising team several states away is going to be here in an hour or two. He goes, I'm filling in for a big guy from corporate. I'm the North American safety director. Let's have a chat about your vision of safety at our workplace since you have it all figured out.
Oopsie.
See, you shouldn't say stuff.
No.
Out loud. Sometimes. I took a new medicine at work that made me act like I was drunk as fuck. Oh my God.
I want that medicine.
Next, it was so embarrassing and dumb. I should have tried the new medicine at home first. Oh my God, that would be awful. I would feel so out of control if that happened to me. Oh my God, that would be awful.
Oh yeah, I would want the medicine, but I would want to take it at home.
Oh, at home, absolutely. Yeah, I'd take the medicine, but not at work.
No, not at work. I'm like, I need to go home.
Yeah, well, you couldn't if you...
Oh yeah, I need someone to take me home.
Oh my gosh, that would be awful. I'm personally responsible for U.S. Navy warship losing all power and going completely dark in the middle of the night in the middle of the Pacific Ocean for almost a half an hour. I am also responsible for flipping a switch that resulted in a mass murder of fish large enough that the local media covered the event and postulated the possible causes.
Oh gosh.
Oopsie. Oh my gosh.
That would be horrible.
Teams meeting, thought I was on mute. A person I dislike shows up a couple minutes late, and I blurt out, stupid ass finally decides to show up. not me per se, but an attorney at a large New York law firm where I was a paralegal knew I was taking a trip to Amsterdam. I sent my out-of-office email to the litigation team, and he replied all with "pothead slacker." He was gone the next day. What? Oh, they were going to Amsterdam. Oh my God. What an idiot. I practiced criminal law. During a drink and drive trial, I was, for some reason, using the word circumscribed during a question to a witness. However, without realizing what I had said circumcised twice. On break, the court reporter asked me why I said what I said. I didn't believe her. She played it back for me, and I'd said it.
Well, they are very similar.
They are. But yeah, that's not right. I spilled a Bloody Mary on the lap of a very rich American who had just told me he was on his way to Heathrow. Mm-hmm. He was wearing a cream linen suit.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. He told me his baggage had gone ahead and he was having brunch and then heading to the airport. I don't think I've ever seen someone look at me with such anger in their eyes before or since. Oopsie.
Yeah.
And my last one. I delivered funeral flowers to a hospital room where the person was very much alive.
Oh, no.
I didn't realize it until I was about to deliver the get well soon flowers to the wake.
Oh, no. That is not good.
Oh my gosh. Oh, those are mine.
Okay, this week I'm doing 10 unbelievable facts about Mel's Hole.
I am so excited for these.
There is a bottomless hole in the ground about 9 miles west of Ellensburg, Washington. At least that is what a man who went by the name of Mel Waters claimed to exist on his property when he called into a popular paranormal radio show in 1997. People are still talking about the mysterious pit, which has come to be known simply as Mel's Hole. The seemingly endless hole had already been baffling locals for decades. When Waters brought it to the public, it caught the interest of curious minds everywhere and quickly became an urban legend. While some listeners doubted his often outlandish claims, others were captivated and wanted more. So these are the 10 facts about it. On February 21st, 1997, a man who called himself Mel Waters phoned a well-known late-night radio show that featured paranormal stories called Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. At the time, Coast to Coast AM was the most popular place to discuss all things paranormal, weird, and unexplained. It was the perfect audience for Waters to tell his story. He captivated Bell and the listeners with his tales of a seemingly bottomless hole on his property that possessed mystical qualities. Local legend said it was cursed. The first settlers dubbed it the Devil's Hole. Waters refused to give the exact location, just saying that he lived in Catitas? Catitas County?
Catitas. Maybe it's catitis.
Maybe.
I don't like catitis.
Anyway, it's in Washington. In a region adjacent to the Manastash Ridge. In 2 follow-up calls in April 2000 and January 2002, his stories grew even more extreme. There was no way to know at the time that Mel's Hole would continue to capture public attention for years to come. Number 9. Waters, his neighbors, and the previous owners regularly used the mysterious hole as a natural trash pit. They dumped household waste, furniture, and building debris into it for years, but somehow it never filled up. Eventually, Waters grew curious as to the hole's depth. On his first call to the radio show, he described an attempt to test the depth of the hole using a large amount of fishing line, about 80,000 feet of it, to be exact. Waters claimed the line did not reach the bottom. As a reference, the deepest cave in the world is 7,257 feet.
What the fuck?
According to the United States Geological Survey outlines, the amount of fishing line that Waters used would reach about a quarter of the way through the Earth's crust at its thickest.
Are you fucking kidding me?
So my question is, how could he tell that he didn't reach the bottom?
Well, I mean, if you keep feeding and feeding, like if you put a weight on the bottom of it, for instance, and you keep feeding it and feeding it and feeding it, that weight is going to eventually hit something.
Okay.
But if he didn't feel it hit anything and he reached the end of his 80,000 feet of wire.
I'm just thinking, though, if just say he didn't feel it hit and it was already on the ground.
And he just kept feeding it and feeding.
Yeah. It's so deep, you're not going to be able to really tell.
Or it could have reached like 2,000 feet and hit something and he wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah, exactly. Like it would still go down, but it would just like coil down at the bottom, right?
I totally get what you're saying.
Number 8, the hole brought a dog back to life.
What?
But the fishing line was only the beginning. In a claim reminiscent of Stephen King's 1983 horror novel and 1989 movie by the same name, Pet Sematary, Waters described an instance where his neighbor dropped the body of their deceased pet dog into the hole. The owner got the shock of their life when they saw their pooch alive and well in the nearby woods only a little while later. They recognized the dog because he wore the same collar, but the dog showed no signs of recognizing his owner and did not respond to his calls. While it may be a more desirable result than the grieving pet owner saw in King's tale, Waters' claim was more than enough to terrify and enthrall listeners.
What?
That's crazy.
That is crazy. Especially the fact that it didn't recognize its owners.
Yeah.
That's
like
creepy.
it was brought back to life, but it didn't remember anything from before.
That's creepy.
Maybe. Number 7. Certain items act strangely near Mel's hole. In another claim, Waters revealed that Mel's hole had strange effects on some everyday objects. Art Bell and his listeners hung on to every word as Waters mentioned the odd things that metal items and portable radios would start to do whenever they were near the opening of the 9-foot diameter hole. He claimed that metals would mysteriously change into other metals or substances whenever he held them near the entrance. Waters also recounted an instance where he brought his radio to the pit and set it to his favorite radio station. But instead of music, the radio put out strange, unknown voices and programs and music from the past.
Weird. What the fuck?
The only thing I don't like about this story is that you don't know if he's lying or not.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
this could all be made up.
Yeah, there's no proof.
Number 6, more unexplained circumstances at Mel's Hole. Waters described many of his experiments at the pit, and each one seemed to produce a more unsettling result than the last. In one of his final calls, Waters described lowering a bucket of ice down to 1,500 feet, and when he lifted it out, he noticed that the ice was warm, but did not melt. He said it had changed into a flammable substance. The warm ice was not the only time that his experiments defied the laws of science. When he yelled down into the hole, he claimed there was no echo. There was also no sound after large trash items such as refrigerators or television CRT tubes were thrown into the pit to confirm that they had hit bottom. Number 5, he lowered a sheep down the hole. One of Waters' most disturbing claims involved lowering a live sheep into the hole at around 1,500 feet, as he did in the ice bucket experiment. The sheep shrieked and kicked on the way down, then suddenly went silent. When Waters lifted it out, he found that the animal had been cooked. The sheep had also developed a strange lump, which, to his horror, started to move.
Ew!
He cut it open and found a fetal seal.
What?
That he said gazed at him with intelligent, human-like eyes.
Shut the fuck up.
Waters went on to add that the creature miraculously cured his cancer. It jumped back into the hole, but was seen later by local sheep herders who claimed it radiated a benevolent presence. This chilling story may explain why Waters' dogs refused to come within 100 feet of the hole and why birds never sat on its stone retaining wall or metal cover. Number 4, a strange light radiated from the hole. The many strange occurrences that Waters recounted on Coast to Coast AM were not limited to items he lowered into the hole. Sometimes mysterious things would come out of it, too. Waters described a disturbing report from one of his neighbors who had seen a blacker-than-black beam of light coming from the cursed pit. He explained it as the light of a flashlight that threw out a beam of solid black instead of the standard whitish hue. Black is easily one of the most ominous colors that could come from a mysterious pit, as it is often associated with evil, death, and emptiness. You wouldn't call it a light if it was black anyway, right?
Yeah, black is the absence of light.
Yeah.
Weird.
Number 3, the federal government seized the land. The talk of Mills Hole eventually got big enough that the federal government caught wind of it. As Waters recounted in a later call, he was heading toward the hole one day when a man in a suit approached him and said that the area had been closed off due to a plane crash. The man told Waters that he was no longer allowed near the pit. Waters described seeing men in biohazard suits standing behind him. Soon after, the government leased the land and gave him a generous amount of money to vacate the property. Waters accepted the money and moved to Australia. The addition of a government conspiracy significantly increased interest in the urban legend. Number 2, Waters went back 2 years later. In one of his final calls, Waters claimed he had come back to Washington 2 years after moving to Australia, despite a warning from the government not to return. He said police officers removed him from a bus and left him on the streets of San Francisco 2 weeks later. He had IV marks on his arms, several missing teeth, and no memory of what transpired. Waters managed to continue to his hometown, but felt that menacing strangers were stalking him. He was told his land had been taken over by the government and found the region had been erased on an early mapping system called TerraServer. But that was not the end of Waters' story. He said that he found a nearly identical hole in the Badlands of Nevada. This one had a metal ring that extended down into the ground instead of a brick lining, but his experiments at the site produced similar results.
Is it following him?
Is it made up? That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, if it's true, the only thing that would make it super weird is that if the government got involved in any way. That's weird.
I wonder if that is like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like if you could look that up somewhere, if it's true.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can probably go on. I mean, how long did they say it was? 90 feet? 90 feet pit? Is that what it said?
Oh, I think it said, what, the new one or the Mills Hole?
Mills Hole.
There was never a bottom.
No, across.
Oh.
You say it was 90 feet across?
I don't know.
That's what I thought you said. If it's that big, you could probably see it on Google Maps if you look it up.
9 foot diameter.
Oh, 9 foot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's not that big.
No. Well, I mean, for a hole, it's kind of big.
Yeah, but I was thinking you could see it from, like, Google Maps, like, if it was that big to see it, you know. But 9 feet is, I don't know.
And number 1, Mills Hole is still discussed today. Talk about Mills' bottomless holes has remained surprisingly steady since his calls to the radio show all those years ago. The urban legend has been the subject of many chat groups, like Above Top Secret in 2005. In 2007, more people got to talking about the legend in the Sheffield Forum. In 2008, a tribal medicine man known as Gerald R. Osborne, or Red Elk, kept the legend alive when he claimed to see UFOs flying over the pit. He even suggested it was an underground UFO base. A Facebook poll from the Daily Record asked people whether they believed Mills Hole was real or not in 2012. Some people from Reddit shared coordinates of possible locations and tried to get a group together to find it in 2018. As recently as 2022, it was featured in a podcast called Astounding Legends in May and an article on grunge in November. Like Mel's Hole, this urban legend may have no end.
I like it. Definitely makes you think. It sucks that there's no real proof.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he said like other people saw shit happen. Other people were throwing shit in it.
Yeah, neighbors and stuff. I mean, it might be something along the line, like Skinwalker Ranch, like just an area of high strangeness.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But if he found another one?
Yeah, that kind of like makes me think that he made it up.
Yeah.
Because, all of a sudden he didn't have any more stories because the government, took it away from him.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he finds another one. I don't know. I find it hard to believe.
I do too. It's interesting, but all right, I have some people who work with death sharing some of the weirdest things that happens.
Ooh.
Sometimes when leftover gas is leaving the body, they'll sort of groan or fart, which is really unnerving. Also, it sometimes sounds like they're knocking from inside of the fridges, which is pretty creepy when you're not used to it.
Pretty creepy,
Yeah.
it is.
I could, God bless these people.
Yeah, there ain't no way.
In my early days as a first responder, I was in a rural area and we were the first on scene. I responded to a multi-vehicle accident where a man had been decapitated. I got in the passenger side and his head was hanging on by a few tendons on the right side. Without thinking, I grabbed his head and tried to put it back on. I don't know why. In retrospect, I think I saw something that wasn't right and instinct told me this goes here. The old-timers laughed and teased me a few times. One of them pulled me aside and told me it's not the first time someone's done that. It won't be the last. I've heard other people doing similar things, but haven't personally witnessed it.
That's funny.
A European bloke came in 3 weeks after falling off a horse. He didn't go to the hospital when it happened. Instead, he flew to Australia for holiday and was admitted to our emergency room ward a few days later. He had literally shattered 2 ribs. He was acting normal when I was talking to him, but then 5 minutes later, his spleen ruptured when someone tried to move him. It's not uncommon for spleens to rupture weeks after trauma, but this dude lasted 3 weeks and only 10 minutes after being admitted did it rupture. If it had happened on the plane, he would have been dead. But he lived.
Wow.
He was not supposed to fucking die.
No,
Holy
he
shit.
wasn't.
I worked at a veterinary clinic for a while. I have witnessed the phenomenon of jumping ship twice. Once we had a cat who was old and sick brought in to be put down. She was covered in fleas, and so when we put the medicine that euthanized her, the fleas were able to tell and immediately started leaving the body in huge numbers to the point where the area around the body was black from fleas.
Yeah.
The other time I saw it when we put a dog down in the OR because exploratory surgery showed his tumor was inoperable. He had some ticks that all jumped off as soon as the drug was injected. That is so strange.
That's gross.
My mom was a paramedic for 15 years and once had to do a body recovery of 2 teenage girls on a full moon walking through waist-high grass and fog while their wrecked van played Uninvited by Alanis Morissette.
Oh,
she said it was one of the most unsettling moments of her career.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is creepy.
That is creepy.
Hangings are pretty horrible, but we had ended up attending to a man who had died by suicide after killing his girlfriend. He had caved the back of her head in with a blunt object and hung her in a spare room before hanging himself. The weirdest part of it is that he didn't kill himself straight away. Her body had decomposed more than he had. The police on the scene estimated she had been dead for around 4 or 5 days before he killed himself.
Ugh.
Ugh, what is wrong with people?
I don't know.
Paramedic. Hangings are always very eerie scenes. They somehow seem staged, cinematic, and unreal. It's odd what sticks in your memory, like how neatly they placed their slippers beside the ladder or how rough the knot was. Hangings often extend the neck in an inhuman way. Ugh. I was transporting a man with liver disease and diabetes. I grabbed his arm gently to help him, and the top layer of skin slid off like pudding. I wore my fucking gloves after that.
Yeah.
EMT here. Sometimes when you do CPR, the person becomes conscious again and can talk to you while you're doing compressions. I've seen some go into cardiac arrest, and after 2 compressions, woke up, grabbed the nurse who was doing the compressions, and went unresponsive again. Everyone in the room was like, what the fuck? I had a 100-year-old patient with a colonic mass admitted for new compression fractures, like sedentary to metastatic cancer. Mm-hmm. Okay, I just said a bunch of shit. I don't know. The family.
I've been watching The Good Doctor, so
okay.
I know that's a word, and you said it right.
Good deal. The family did not want to pursue further workup, and he was placed in comfort care with a plan to discharge him back home on hospice. He was feeling well on the day of discharge. His sons came by to make sure he got on the ambulance. Medics loaded him onto the gurney. He closed his eyes, took one more breath, and died right there. The sons told us later that they were actually pretty relieved because they didn't want their father to die at home because of how much it would affect their mother. I have never had a patient die while in the process of leaving the hospital. It's weird for a physician to say, but damn, what a good way to go. That is crazy. He didn't want to upset his wife.
Yeah. Well, you've heard stories about where, people, they're waiting to die.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
they don't die until, one of their loved ones or whatever leaves.
Yeah. It's crazy. When a person is really old, they can look dead when they're actually alive and vice versa. That's rude. I walked into a room and I could see this guy propped up in bed. His eyes were wide open and he sounded like he was choking on mucus. So I started to suction it out and then realized he never started to breathe. I checked a pulse. He was dead, but his eyes were still open, like he was staring at me. I had to do the thing they show on TV where the doctor puts their hand over the person's face and closes the eyes. We left him in bed peacefully. So he was dead, just staring there? That's creepy.
Oh, he was making noises too, apparently.
Yeah. Not really weird, just the only thing that stands out in my mind. I work in a hospital in infection control. Occasionally, I am needed down in the morgue when there is a containment issue. On this night, a body was brought in under special circumstances. A body was found in a body of water, so the patient was already swollen from that. It has been at least a few days since the time of death. The patient had no positive results from the lab, so I didn't understand why I was called in. This is what happened. All suspicious death autopsies are performed at a single location in my state. Since their body was found on a Friday, we were to keep the body in storage until it could be transported on Monday. This is not abnormal, but our body storage is actually just an old walk-in freezer from a cafeteria renovation years ago. After the body was brought in, the freezer broke down sometime over the weekend, and as the body warmed up, so did the gases in the intestines, resulting in the lower torso exploding onto the cart and floor. It was the most putrid thing I have ever been part of. Oh my God.
That is horrible.
I work in a mortuary. We had an older lady, maybe mid-60s, who looked like a beautiful, youthful 40-year-old from the chest up, but like Frankenstein's monster below that. I'm talking about numerous heavy scars all over, misshapen areas of her torso, lots of discoloration, and fluid built up. She looked like a lawnmower had attacked her and crudely stapled back together. Come to find out, she was really into plastic surgery, and even though she had an expensive, well-recommended surgeon, things started to go wrong. She got infections, her body wasn't responding well to the surgeries, and every procedure done was to fix a previous one that just went worse. They pretty much turned her into a living meat puzzle.
Ugh. Just don't start.
Yeah.
I mean, is it worth it?
Yeah. I mean, I know. Plastic surgery is sad. Like, it's really sad. Unless you were in an accident or it's, like, necessary. That's
definitely.
absolutely understandable. But when people are trying to stay...
When it's not
quote
needed.
unquote young, yeah,
They're
just trying to act like they're not getting older. That's just sad.
It is.
Like, just
and
stop.
a lot of them will get, like, addicted to it.
Yeah.
And then they start looking like aliens.
They do.
It's like, they look way worse than they
do.
would have if they would have just not done it at all.
Exactly. Yeah, they call them pillow faces in Hollywood now.
Oh, they do?
When these women are getting all these collagen injections in their face, and they thought that the collagen eventually, like, dissipates, but it doesn't.
Oh.
So they're just getting more and more, and now their faces look like pillows, and they look like aliens, and
That's not good.
it's not good. So that guy's second example, a seemingly healthy middle-aged guy had a heart attack and passed away early one morning. His wife and adult kids came in that afternoon to make arrangements. A few hours later at home, while her family was eating dinner, the wife went to lie down and had a heart attack of her own and passed away. Oh my God. We ended up picking up both the husband and wife at the same time, and no, those greedy sons of bitches didn't offer the family discount on removals.
Oh, that's bad.
That is horrible. Those poor kids. I mean, they're not kids, but they're kids.
Yeah.
Aw. Paramedic here. This isn't involving death, but it's the weirdest thing I've seen. We have a psychiatric call, and I was in the back with the patient. My partner was driving. The patient looks at me and goes, "Do you know the time?" I told the patient, "I actually don't. My phone was dead." The patient says, "It's okay, it's 8:17. Then says, "Do you know how I know?" I looked at her and say, "You have a watch?" She then told me, "No, Jesus told me." I then asked my partner what time it was, and for the hell of it, sure enough, she got it right on. There was no way on the truck for her to know the exact time, no clocks and tinted windows. Tinted windows. Didn't say a damn word for the rest of the ride. I just made sure to tell the ER staff that Jesus talks to the patient about time.
Okay.
If Jesus told me what time it was one time, I would be so mad.
It's like, really? That's all you got for me?
Are you telling me that's what you choose to communicate to me? Is the time, sir or ma'am? Medical student here and been in the hospitals all year. We had a patient, I'd been following her since admission, who had liver cirrhosis due to alcohol, and it was horrible to watch. She went from cheerful and talkative to shaky, catatonic mess within a week. When she died, her skin was neon yellow. I'd seen plenty of dead bodies in my time, but I've never seen anything like that. Her skin looked like that yellow construction paper from elementary school.
Wow.
That's awful. Not super interesting, but I've dissected a lot of cadavers, and one time this guy's brain was completely encrusted. What's that?
I don't know.
I don't know why the brain didn't preserve, but my guess was it was part of his cause of death. By the way, the brain turns to liquid when it dies. We scooped out handfuls of the watery gray refried bean brains. And had to leave them in a tub with him until he got cremated. So it must have liquefied.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Weird. Also, one time a lady had chronic lung problems that caused her heart to work in overdrive to compensate, essentially. Over a long period of time, the heart grew, just like any other muscle as it works, And this 110-pound lady ended up with the heart the size of a cantaloupe. But
Jeez.
organs always have weird anomalies. Holy shit! How did it
It's
fit in
it'd
there?
have to- did it break her ribs? I mean,
Holy shit! I don't know.
or her chest, or wherever it is.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I went to a car accident where a man had a watch embedded in his head. He was driving one-handed when he collided, and the airbag forced the watch into his skull.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. I had a patient die in ICU that was in his 60s or so. He was a missionary who came back early from South America due to abdominal pain. His bowel had perforated due to parasitic worms. When he died, his abdomen was still wiggling. I cleaned him up, bagged him, and prayed that the worms didn't come through. I hope the morgue freezer killed those things. That was the most gross thing I've ever witnessed in the many deaths I've seen.
That's disgusting.
That's disgusting. I'm going to say a death investigator, because there's a word in here and I can't. Which is basically a forensic investigator that works at a medical examiner's office and only investigates death. This week, there was a foot found at a train yard. It turns out it belonged to a homeless guy in another state riding the rails. Somehow it got cut off, he fell off the train and lived while his little piggies kept going, and ended up in my state a few days later. Oh my, what? My husband worked in the medical field for years. Since he was in an elevator with someone from the science donation. What? Okay. Once he was in an elevator with someone from a science donation pushing a cart. Another woman on the elevator asked what was on the cart. Without saying anything, the guy opened a drawer, which was just a drawer of torsos that we're going to study. Oh, I didn't know they cut up the bodies like that.
Weird.
What? And my last one, paramedic here. It was my first ever time working with someone who had a cardiac arrest. I was 19 years old at the time. We get called for a 60-something man short of breath. We get our chair and attempt to get him from his bed onto the chair. He collapses, has an episode, and comes up a few seconds later. We attempt to set him up so we can lift him onto the chair, and he starts exclaiming, "Don't sit me up, I can't sit up." I say, "We have to get you on this chair. We need to get you down the stairs and get you on the stretcher." He tells us not to sit him up 2 more times, and when I ask him why you can't sit up, he says, "I'll show you," and then he fucking died. I shit you not, his last words at the time were, "I'll show you." We ended up shocking him, getting him back, got him downstairs where he died again, shocked him, and got him back again. We did this 4 or 5 times before getting him into the resuscitation room in the ER. Every time we shocked him, he would be back almost talking with us, but obviously still out of it since, he just died and all. I never got to ask him how he knew or what he saw since it was a crazy dynamic, but I'll never forget him looking directly into my eyes saying, "I'll show you." He ended up walking out of the hospital 5 weeks later. It was so wacky.
That's weird.
What?
So what? He would die if he sat up?
Yeah. But he never got to tell him how he knew that.
That's weird.
It's weird. Those were mine.
All right. It's time for the witty wrap-up.
Yay, Minnie Rilla!
I did 10 bizarre legal name changes.
Oh my god, I can't wait.
I hope I haven't done these before.
I think we've done some, but it was so long ago, I can't imagine them being the same ones.
Number 10. A man named Simon Sam Smith changed his name to reflect his love for food after a night in a pub. Smith legally changed his name to Bacon Double Cheeseburger. One thing that we find funny about this particular name change is that Sam was drinking with friends when he made the application. By procedure, Smith needed to sign a paper confirming that he indeed applied for the name change before he could begin answering to his new name. Coincidentally, Smith was again drinking with friends when the confirmation paperwork came.
Oh my God.
His friends were unanimous in their support for his new identity. Smith also received support from his coworkers, but his fiancée did not find his new identity funny.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Could you imagine meeting someone?
Bacon double cheeseburger? Why is it a double? Why did he put that in there?
What's your name? Cheeseburger. Bacon cheeseburger.
Double. So stupid.
What's wrong with Simon or Sam?
Seriously, there's nothing wrong with that.
Number 9. The name James Bond is familiar all over the world, thanks to the highly talented writer Ian Fleming, who featured him in 12 novels, and 2 short story collections. When Ian Fleming died, other authors also continued from where he stopped with due authorization. The James Bond character has been adapted for television, radio, film, and video games with huge success. The video player is currently playing an ad. Oh, I forgot to delete that part. That is not part of the story.
That reminds me when on comedies when the actor's reading a script and like when Joey he got done reading the line and then he said long pause.
I know, I was like, the video player is currently playing, and what the fuck?
That's funny.
Okay. Although the exploits of James Bond in movies do amaze us, what we find most amazing is the exploitation of a James Bond fan in the real world. A man named David Fern changed his first and last name to all the James Bond movies ever produced. 21 titles in all.
What?
All we can say is, hello, James, Dr. No from Russia with love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Diamonds Are Forever, Live and Let Die, The Man with the Golden Gun, The Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, A View to a Kill, The Living Daylights, License to Kill, GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, Casino Royale, Bond.
Perfect.
Oh my god, that's so stupid.
Aren't they still making those too?
I think so.
Isn't he gonna have to change his name every time
I
a new one
don't
comes
know.
out? That is so fucking dumb.
That is stupid.
I liked double bacon cheeseburger better.
It's definitely better than that one, and I am not saying all that again.
Who would say why? Why?
I don't know. People are weird.
These people have to just get an idea in their head, not think it through in any way, shape, or form, and just do it.
They think it's funny, I guess.
Oh my
I don't
god,
know.
it's so not funny.
It's stupid.
It's stupid.
Number 8. Removing your tooth in the 1900s was not something you would look forward to. In that age, the pain of having your tooth extracted was severe. It begins from the moment it is removed and lasts for several days. Unfortunately, the technology at the time did not allow for effective pain relief. In those days, doctors went the extra mile to ensure that their patients did not focus on the pain. Edgar Randolph Parker was a poor student who only graduated because he begged the dean to pass him after so many failed attempts. He struggled to get patients, so he decided to be innovative and looked for a way to bring his dental practice to life. He would inject patients with watered-down cocaine before pulling their teeth.
Holy shit.
He went as far as legally changing his middle name to Painless in order to earn the trust of his patients. He ended up losing his dental license in several states.
What? Are you kidding? Oh my god, I would go to that fucking dentist too. Shit.
Give me some liquid cocaine.
Oh my god. It's okay, my middle name's Painless. It's okay. So stupid.
Number 7. There's no shortage of stories of people getting angry at banks and trying their best to embarrass them. While cases of angry customers do not surprise us, we are surprised at how a customer became innovative in dealing with the situation. Michael Howard was a customer of Yorkshire Bank when he received notice that the bank had charged him £20 for being £10 overdrawn. Howard had a row with the bank manager, which was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. This led Howard to legally change his name to Yorkshire Bank are fascist bastards. The bank could not hide its embarrassment and demanded that Michael Howard change his name, close his account, and move to another bank. Such a customer was undoubtedly too expensive for Yorkshire Bank.
Oh my god. That is the best thing I've ever heard. Oh my god. That's great. That's a reason to change your name.
That's pretty good. I'll give him that. Number 6. You might have watched the movie Home Alone during the past holiday season. The movie stars Macaulay Culkin, who defends his suburban Chicago home from a home invasion by a pair of robbers when his family accidentally leaves him behind on a vacation to Paris. The movie has many fans worldwide, and the same goes for the lead actor, Macaulay Culkin. One day, Culkin was feeling playful. He made a post on the internet suggesting that people should decide a middle name for him. Guess what? The voting results came back, and the middle name suggested was Macaulay Culkin. The voting results came back, and the middle name suggested was Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
Oh, since his first and last names are already, the actor was stuck with the name Macaulay Culkin. That confused me. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Alrighty.
So stupid.
It is stupid. Number 5. There's a chance you might know the wrestler named The Ultimate Warrior. He was born James Bryan Hellwig and was a very popular wrestler during the era of Hulk Hogan. He eventually legally changed his name to Warrior, which should not have been surprising at all as he was already associated with the name. But what makes this name change so bizarre? In case you didn't know, Warrior's belligerence did not end at the level of American professional wrestling. He was quite belligerent in real life, too. To put it in simple terms, he was a warrior in the real world. No one who knew him in the real world would ever miss the fact that he was an irritable person. He once wished manager Bobby Heenan would die of cancer, insulted the victims of Hurricane Katrina, and celebrated the death of Heath Ledger.
Oh my god.
When a man who was supposed to be a warrior on stage becomes one in the real world and changed his name to reflect it, the whole thing becomes totally bizarre.
Weird.
Number 4. In 2008, a 19-year-old from Glastonbury, UK, traded his birth name, George Garrett, for a very unique name you cannot miss. The name is Captain Fantastic, faster than Superman, Spider-Man, Batman, Wolverine, Hulk, and The Flash combined. This made Captain Fantastic automatically become a member of an elite club of people with unusually long names. While Captain Fantastic is happy with his new name, it didn't come without some social costs. We do know that his grandmother stopped speaking to him as soon as she heard about the stunt. The change of name immediately gave him the longest personal name in the world for a time. George publicly stated that what influenced the name change was that he wanted a unique name for himself and went for a superhero theme.
Oh my god. And that was worth your grandma.
That's so stupid.
Seriously?
Notice these are all men.
Not surprised. No, because see, that bothers me because I don't think she would have stopped talking to him if she could have called him George or whatever she called him, but it sounded like he insisted.
Yeah.
That's fucking...
I'd be like, you know what? Fuck off, dude.
Exactly.
Later.
I would do exactly what Grandma did. Just be like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
That's just stupid.
It's sad. That one sucked.
Number 3. A man named Justin Brady from La Cruces, New Mexico, went to court for an unusual change of name because the relationship between him and his adoptive parents had broken down irretrievably. His adoptive parents are named Brady, and naturally, he was named after them. However, when things turned sour, he went for a name his friends gave him, Bubba. The first name idea that came to his mind was, why not Bubba? But he decided that this was rather too long. He settled for why not, a shorter form of why not.
What?
Justin filled out the necessary applications and legally changed his name to Why Not Bubba. So stupid.
What? Why? What is wrong with Justin? I don't understand. Or just Bubba. I mean, just Bubba. That would be fine.
It's like me. Okay, I'm Jody.
yeah.
That's me. That's who I am.
Yeah, it's how... I don't know.
Okay.
That's so dumb.
It is.
Why not, Bubba? Shut up.
Number 2. Madonna is an iconic American singer, songwriter, and actress who is popularly known as the Queen of Pop. She attained popularity in the 1990s and has continued to be in the limelight to this day. The decades of Madonna's popularity had turned her into a super icon of sorts, with many fans willing to do some outrageous things to celebrate her. In 2009, a set of twins and their friend from the UK decided to change their names legally to honor the music legend, while Leanna Dawson changed her name to Leanna Madonna Vogue on the cover of a magazine, Mikhail Dawson. Emma Dawson changed her name to Emma Confessions of a Dance Floor, Mikhail Dawson. Gemma Mitchell, a friend of Leanna and Emma, changed her name to Gemma True Blue Strike a Pose Carol Mikhail Dawson, me Mitchell. The trio are eternal fans of their pop star. They go to their shows as much as they can and have purchased every single album and DVD she has ever made. The three ladies have not had the opportunity to meet Madonna in person since they changed their names. Okay, so we finally got some ladies on here. And they're just as stupid.
Yes. Speaking of pillow face alien people, Madonna.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit.
I saw a picture of her not too long ago. I hadn't seen her in years.
Oh, God.
I was like, who the fuck is that?
She looks like an alien.
Yeah, she does.
Bigger than shit.
She does.
It's so creepy and sad.
It is.
And I love that one girl can actually go by Strike a Pose if she wanted to. My name is Strike a Pose. I love it.
And number 1, Luther Devine Knox was a Winnsboro farmer who also had political inclinations. He contested in multiple gubernatorial? Is that
What?
Gubernatorial.
That's gubernatorial.
Alrighty, whatever.
Okay, your phone is out of control.
I need to take my fiber.
Oh.
Gubernatorial elections. Notable among them was the 1979 Louisiana gubernatorial election.
What is that?
I don't know. One of Knox's objectives was to ensure that a voter has the choice to pick none of the above as an option during an election if none of the candidates appeal to such a voter. He aimed to make sure that voters do not elect people who are incompetent in the name of having no choice. Knox believed that if none of the above was selected by the majority, then the election would be redone until the right candidate stepped up. The more Knox argued his position, the more resistance he met from government officials at all levels. In fact, many believed that this weird position of his was why he became a perennial candidate who never got close to winning the Louisiana gubernatorial election. When Knox saw that all the conventional ways of achieving his objective had been used up without result, he decided to do something bizarre. He changed his middle name to none of the above.
Saw that coming.
I thought it was going to be Goober.
Oh, that is cheating. You can't change your name to none of the above just because.
Because no one would listen to him.
Oh my God, that is
And that's
so
all I got.
dumb. Okay, thank you so much for listening. Send in your stories. We need them. ghoulsnightoutpodcast@gmail.com. You can rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen, and we will talk to you next week.
Later.
Or no, we won't.
Oh, no. 2 weeks.
Couple weeks. Bye.